All right. Well, been knocking out a lot of painting lately. And down below is my 15 millimeter AWI. I have the Rebels on screen there. I do have a little bit of British that I've completed off to the left, off camera, but I'll show you those here in just a moment. But yeah, some more stuff down here for black powder and also DBA HX. I have everything based on the 40 millimeter wide bases. Infantry is 40 by 20. The cavalry is 40 by 30. And that will allow me to game DBA HX, black powder, a couple other games I could fit this basing into, like, let's see, British Grenadier, a couple others. I did have some suggestions for Age of Reason, which I very well may check that game out as well. I have a lot of rule sets. I'm kind of a hoarder when it comes to rule books and miniatures, just like many of you are out there. I have games, board games, Hex and Counter, war games that I've owned for years and years, and I still haven't played. But um, we'll get around to them all eventually. I think I got plenty of time in my life, hopefully, to get around to them all. But anyway, back down in front of us, I have the beginnings of my AWI army, Rebels. And up front, I have George Washington and his command staff there. I'll zoom in just a moment. I have the 2nd U.S. Continental Light Dragoons here. I have a unit of militia right here, another unit of militia, and a third unit of militia. And then over to the left, I have in front the 2nd Pennsylvania Continentals, and behind them the 1st Maryland Continental line. So, and then over here, this direction, we have some British, unit of Grenadiers and a regiment, 38th Foot, I believe. I got to check the bottom of the command stand. I write down the what units they are. So anyway, if I can get my camera to stable out here once again, the mount is a little loose. Maybe I should have tightened it up before I started this, but anyway. Um, yeah, I'm slowly getting these things done. Actually, I did it all in one big spurt. It took me maybe about 2 weeks to paint all this. I already had the 38th foot pretty much complete and the 1st Maryland complete, but in a period of about 3 or 4 weeks, I completed a unit of British Grenadiers as well as the 2nd Pennsylvania, all 3 units of militia, these light Continental Dragoons, and George Washington. So, yeah, I kind of go around in spurts between the projects I'm working on. Helps me keep motivated and interested. It gets a little bit old painting, militia over and over and over again. So I like to mix it up with different things and different eras of war. And I got a lot of different projects going on, as you've probably seen. My 6 millimeter Napoleonics. I just completed up for the most part my Ancients army of Republican Romans. I have in 6 millimeter. Got a pretty big force here, and I'll be doing a video later on this afternoon, posted up today. That's the plan at least. And I got some World War II in 15 millimeter projects going on for different rules that go for man to man, like individually skirmish based forces. I got a whole lot of armor, and I mean a lot of armor. Originally, I was going to be playing some big battles in tank wars for bolt action in 15 millimeter, which I still plan on doing. However, I also picked up What a Tanker rules by Two Fat Lardies. I'm looking forward to those rules as well. I've been reading that book quite a bit now. What other projects do I got going on? 15 millimeter ACW project, which is moving along rather well. And I have an 28 millimeter, uh, basically a Gangs of Rome project, but I'm not using their bases. I'm using clear acrylic bases. And I also am planning on playing songs of Shadows and Dust with that, probably more so than the Gangs of Rome. I've played quite a bit of songs of Shadows and Dust and a couple test Gangs of Rome and with my son, and I do like the Gangs of Rome. However, I just like the Ganesha game system better. I think it is a lot, gives a lot more leeway in terms of character development and determining your own forces, choosing your own forces. Nice campaign system go along with that. Doesn't feel as linear maybe as Gangs of Rome does, but anyway, I'll talk about those in a future video that I do here real soon. So I think maybe we should zoom in and take a look at some of these guys that I got done. Let's start off with George Washington. So let me zoom on in the camera here and see if I can get it to drop a focus in there. And I guess that'll be okay here. But George Washington, of course, on the white horse. And I have the standard, the command standard of George Washington. You see the blue, the entire complete blue field with white stars on the standard there. And there seems to be some sort of consensus among historians that was George Washington's HQ flag. And there's some argument to that and some evidence leading to the contrary, but you know, I'll go ahead and go with the common consensus and say that it was. And besides, I like that better, a whole lot better than the Betsy Ross flag. So I went ahead and chose to use that HQ standard instead. I don't know if you can see some of the detail on Washington here. Let me see if I can get it. Yeah, it's going to focus in okay. And once again, I'm not the best painter. Far from it, actually. But I think he came out pretty decent. I think it's obvious to the knowledgeable onlooker who that represents. And came out pretty good. You can see his aide-de-camp to his right, our left, there on the gray horse. A little bit sloppy reins work there. I might touch that reins up a little bit on the horse. And his standard bearer back there in the back. Flip him around. Let's see if we can flip him around, take him a look at the back sides here. And yeah, there's the guys. So that's George Washington and his command group. Washington has his white powdered wig on there. And now we can go ahead and take a look at the Continental 2nd Light Dragoons here. And these guys actually came out pretty good, I think. They had a lot of leather work on their harnesses, reins, and leather or saddle cinches and retainers, stuff like that. So, but they came out pretty good. There's from the top there. And I don't know whether it was because it was the bottom of the matte finish that I was using there, but for the most part, whenever I used it, it left no shine, came out almost anti-shine, but I think I was getting to the bottom of the can, and maybe it wasn't mixed enough or something, but it came out with a little bit of a shine. So here's their command stand right there. You can see their commanding officer there holding up the saber. And to his right, with an empty fist up in the air, is the standard bearer. One thing I didn't know about Essex was, at least these models of Essex, these standard bearers do not come with flagpoles. So I have some spare spears, some wire spears from Donington Miniatures that I'll probably cut one up and glue into his hand, and then I'll put the standard for the 2nd Continental Dragoons up on that guy. It'll look pretty good. So that way they'll have a standard, and then the last stand for them is right here. And I do have 3 more stands of regular cavalrymen to go along with these guys, so this unit can be as small or large as I need it to be during any given time for any other scenario that I may be running. So I also have a couple other units. I'm going to do the 1st Continental Light Dragoons, the 3rd and the 4th here. So, and I have figures already on my pile to do all of those. I've primed them. I just haven't gotten around to painting them yet. So here's my 1st Regiment of Militia, and we'll take a look at the command stand. And these guys have the join or die flag here. It's kind of hard to keep this tripod is killing me here. Maybe see if I can tighten this up. I apologize about this. Let's see what can be done here. So reverse. I think that may be stripped. That's not good. So anyway, let's see if I can spin the mount around here, keep it stable. Well, at least it'll stay stable right there. Hopefully the camera won't fall over. So there's the join or die flag for this first command stand of my militia. And these guys, all these models, with the exception of the Continental Dragoons were from Essex. George Washington and his staff was from Magister Militum, and actually that standard bearer was a from the British command pack there. I just had an extra guy from that pack, so I went ahead and used a British model for him, but I think it came out pretty good. So George Washington was from Magister Militum, the cavalry was from Essex. Everything else that I'm going to show you is 15 millimeter Peter Pig. And here's one of the stands of militia right here. These guys were the skirmishing pack from Peter Pig. I can't remember what pack number it was, but it's the militia skirmishing. And I have a total of 6 stands for that regiment of militia right there with the join or die flag. And now we'll go ahead and take a look at the other two back here. One has a blue Liberty flag and the other has the yellow Gaddison flag, the Don't Tread on Me flag. And we will take a look at the command stand for these guys. Let's see if I can get this camera to not fall over. I guess I'm gonna need a new mount. This one's pretty much gone to trash here recently, I guess. But anyway, that's them with my trademark block face with the skull eye holes on them. I'm not even gonna attempt to paint eyes on these guys. You know, I go by the 3-foot rule. These guys look great from 3 feet away on a tabletop. But yeah, this regiment has the front rank kneeling, firing and loading, and the rear rank are standing and firing. So that's one of the front rank stands right there. And the rear rank is standing and firing. Cat hair on there. Let's get that off. So that is what those guys look like. And then I have a third regiment of militia, and they have the Gaddison, although it doesn't say Don't Tread on Me, it says Liberty, so I guess that's not the Gaddison flag. But that's their command stand. It has a little bit of grass stuck on there. I'll have to get that off a little bit later. But yeah, and these guys are standing at ready. They're standing at ready with their muskets, waiting for orders. So that takes care of my 3 militia regiments. And then we can take a look at my Continental Infantry regiments. Up in front is in the brown with the green facings and cuffs are the 2nd Pennsylvania. And you can see here I have their historic flag right there. And the musician, the drummer, is painted with reverse colors. And all of these guys are standing with muskets and bayonets at the ready. Total 6 stands for that regiment. And I had at one point in my previous video highlighted these guys, but the basing wasn't complete and I hadn't finished the command stand for them or anything like that. But let me see if I can get this camera to focus in here. There it is, 1st Maryland, Liberty or Death. There's a command stand and the musician, reverse colors of course. And I've already kind of showed you in a previous video what these guys look like. They're all firing with their muskets. So that is them. Oops. And another thing I've already shown you guys is the 38th Infantry right here. I believe that's the 38th. Let's take a look at the bottom. Didn't write it. That wasn't smart of me, but yeah, this is the 38th Infantry, but I didn't have their jacks on their flagpoles as of the time that I showed you, and they weren't all based up, and this command stand was incomplete at the time as well. So there they are. I'm pretty satisfied with the way they came out. Those look rather well, and I'm excited to be doing the rest of my British here as well. I have my first regiment of grenadiers done, and I have one more on the books to do, all primed up and on my table ready to paint. They are in marching formation, no marching pose, as opposed to these guys who are advancing. You can see I've done them with different facings and different colored pants. Some have buff pants, others have white pants and different cuffs and facings to symbolize that these are, a mixed formation of grenadiers here. So let's take a look at this. These guys have buff pants, white facings, and you can see the sergeant there in the middle right. And then the guy in the middle left has a piece of grass hanging from his bearskin. I'll have to brush that off. Maybe I should brush these guys off and touch them up a little bit. But anyway, that's a mixed regiment of British Grenadiers right there. And that's what I have so far for my 15mm AWI project. I hope you guys enjoy it, and I will post further update here as soon as I get some more stuff done. Thanks for checking it out, guys. Stay safe.